Well, here at Giant Orange Records, we are rocking into 2024, and we are gonna get fit this year. No, we're gonna fit as much music into our heads as we can. I'd actually almost entertained the crazy idea of signing up for a gym this year, but then I got out my handy calculator and I was in there and I was ready to go. I was ready to get on that treadmill and ready to start lifting weights and stuff and being there with all like the jock muscle bros and everything. And then I took out my calculator on my phone and added up what it would cost, and it'd be more than $200 a year. And I said, F that. There's garage rock records that I don't own yet that I would rather spend that $200 on. So I went home, put on my safety vest, rode my bike into the night, and boy, that was fun. I'm gonna go jogging in the morning. Oh, by the way, I put up my Kinks poster finally. I did that just now in January 2024, even though I bought this thing in like February of 23. Now, over the holidays, I went from South Florida to South Carolina to visit family and friends, and of course, I had to visit a few old and new favorite record stores in Charleston and North Charleston. My first stop was my old haunt of monster music. I used to spend most of my paycheck there when I was working at a newspaper making no money. I found an original copy of Barbara Lynn. Here is Barbara Lynn. I've never spent this much money on a record, but it's probably my favorite Soul album. I've got the Light in the Attic reissue, which I might put up for sale soon, which is actually worth more than the original for some reason. But this record sounds fantastic. There is not a dull moment on here. Barbara Lynn was this left-handed guitarist. This might be the only proper album she ever made. Man, this thing's incredible. I think it was released in 1968 on Atlantic Records. Boy, You'll Lose a Good Thing, Take Your Love and Run, Maybe We Can Slip Away, Sure Is Worth It, Only You Know How to Love Me, I'll Suffer, You're Losing Me, Suffering City, Multiplying Pain. Let me just say that records like this justify being a record collector. Now, I don't need anyone's approval other than my own for what I do and what my hobbies are, but if anyone ever questions the sanity of a record collector, this would be a good smack in the face or good proof that what we do is totally worth it when you find dynamite like this. And another favorite from Monster Music, you can tell they have very distinct price stickers, is Ty Segal's Melted. I don't know if it's Ty Segall or Ty Segal. Correct me below. I'd listened to this, I'd streamed it, I think I even had it on MP3 at some point. Listening to this on vinyl, whoa, that shit hits different, as they say. This is a crazy-ass psychedelic garage punk record. Originally came out in 2009. I probably heard it for the first time a few years after that. And I do believe this is the 2021 reissue on Goner Records, which is a really cool record store and label out of Memphis, Tennessee. There must have been some magic in the water in San Francisco, I don't know, from like 2008 to like 2015. There was just so much crazy music between Ty and the OCs and White Fence and all those whatever crazy projects they all had going on. I think the genius thing that they did is they took psychedelic music and punk music and blended it in a really new and unique way. And that is very well exemplified on this record. Imaginary Person is my favorite song. Sad Fuzz is another really, really good one. There's some gnarly, nasty, disgusting, and awesome sounds on this record. Here's another one I got for first spin. Translucent Green Vinyl. This is the second Os Mutantes record, simply called Mutantes. And they're wearing some pretty colorful outfits here, and they look super demented on this back cover. This doesn't have quite the awesome songs that the first album does, but again, I've only listened to this once. It's sort of like a continuation, or like maybe like a part two of that album, which is maybe what you would expect. I've listened to a couple of their other albums, but this one is my favorite after the debut. They get really, really out there. Again, there must have been something in the water in Brazil in the late 60s, because they made some awesome psychedelic folk soul type records. Just crazy, crazy stuff. Their fuzz game is on point. Tremolo fuzz, funny vocals. And look, these liner notes are all in Portuguese. I'm going to go through these as I've listened to them, so this is going to be like a multi-part thing. This is a little Tommy James and the Shondells record called Travelin'. Came out in 1970. Man, they still got the psychedelic spirit going on. There's some heavy fuzz, some hard rockin' stuff for a pop band, really. A pop rock band. They got the Western themes. I guess spaghetti Westerns were all the rage about that time. My favorite's probably Moses and Me, the second to last song on side 2. And man, like, they do everything from like the mellow early 70s thing to like hard rock and fuzz to just some out there tremolo stuff. It's again, I've only listened to this once, but I know I'm definitely gonna keep spinning this one. Then I ran into my old friend Harper, who made this album with his band You're a Lad. This came out in 2018. It's called Show Me the Sign. Check it out on Bandcamp. It's really cool indie rock. The guys that played on this record are just... he even gave me a plastic sleeve to put the record in once I open it, which is awesome. Yeah, man, the guys that play on this are all just incredible players. They recorded this at True Phonic, which is supposedly a pretty awesome studio, according to Harper. That's in Charleston, South Carolina. If you like indie rock, you should check this record out. Check it out on their Bandcamp. Go support them. It turns out there's a new game in town. This is Gray Cat Music in Park Circle, which is becoming a very hip part of North Charleston. It used to be kind of sketchy back when I lived there. It's been quite a while now, but there were maybe like one or two places we would go to there. Things could get a little wily out there, but it's become a lot nicer. There's like 3 pizza joints in 2 blocks or something like that. It's kind of crazy, but it's a really cool independent record store. A great selection of older original records, like Dusty in Memphis. Man, I've been looking for this record for a really, really long time. Here's a great thing about these 60s records is this cover picture is kind of out of focus, but who cares? It's a great shot, and Dusty's looking as whimsical and beautiful as ever on this album cover. Awesome musicians on here. The Sweet Inspirations do some background vocals. Just a little lovin', so much love. We all know Son of a Preacher Man. I Don't Want to Hear It Anymore, which is Randy Newman's song. Randy Newman's an awesome songwriter. Don't Forget About Me, Carole King's song. Breakfast in Bed. Jason Isbell references that on a song in Southeastern. Just One Smile, The Windmills of Your Mind. That's a pretty cool song. The Land of Make Believe, another Bacharach song. No Easy Way Down, another Carole King song, and another Carole King song, I Can't Make It Alone. It's a very soulful record, and this is where the liner notes on the back tell you they were trying to get Dusty to sound kind of like Aretha Franklin and do the Southern Soul thing, which in the liner notes, they interviewed Dusty, and she said she was a little bit scared because she'd never done anything quite like that, which is kind of weird to think about. And I believe this one came out in 1969. Great year, the classic album. Every time I've seen this record has been way out of my price range, but this is a good sounding copy at an affordable price. Thanks, Gray Cat. introducing the Walker Brothers from 1965, their first album. This has never been put on CD, by the way, and there's not that many pressings of this album out there. It was on Smash Records in mono, and, Scott Walker is kind of a crooner. This is sort of like a lot of like dramatic Bacharach songs and that kind of thing. I'd say if you like Phil Spector and that wall of sound thing, you'd really like this. It's kind of like dramatic, like those early 60s girl groups, or even like, soul singers like Dusty Springfield. And, I kind of like this kind of music better when it's sung by females. I don't know why, just like the dramatic element just seems more grandiose or something. And they do like My Ship Is Coming In. You might know that one. Dancing in the Street. It's actually a pretty good version of that. Another Randy Newman song, I Don't Want to Hear It Anymore, which is actually also on the Dusty in Memphis record. Love Minus Zero, pretty cool Bob Dylan cover. Make It Easy on Yourself, that's another one of their bigger hits. It's a kind of a dramatic take on the Bacharach song. Land of a Thousand Dances, There Goes My Baby. Pretty Girls Everywhere, that's actually a pretty cool original. So yeah, I don't know. I'm going to give this one another spin or two and see if it grows on me. In the continuing goals for 2024 and beyond, is to collect every Ventures album. I put a nice dent in that goal at Grey Cat with 4 Ventures albums I picked up there that I hadn't had yet. This one is the only one I've listened to so far. So I thought Ventures in Space was my favorite Ventures album, and it probably still is. But after giving this one spin, I may have to change my mind. The super psychedelics of the Ventures, and I don't really want to know what that's referring to, but it's some pretty crazy album art. I would say like the Nuggets box set was probably inspired by this, and you get some fun artwork on the back cover too. And check it out. This was engineered by Bruce Botnick, who you may know as the engineer from the first Doors album and Love's Forever Changes. I think he actually produced Forever Changes, and probably a whole bunch of other stuff that I'm omitting, but those are the 2 big ones that stick out. But man, like this, there's a lot of originals, and I love Ventures albums that have a lot of originals on it. It's the classic lineup with Don Wilson, Bob Bogle, Noki Edwards, and Mel Taylor. And like, I don't know, they look pretty square in some of these pictures, but it is a pretty cool little gatefold. And man, they're still exclusively playing Moss-Wright guitars on this album. And yeah, man, what a great trip. Like, the Ventures do so many things right. They do psychedelic music. They kind of, when they weren't setting trends, they were kind of heavily involved with the trends of the time, and they just did everything spot on. I mean, there's some great sounding stuff on here. Cool guitars, organs, just, they had ideas, and I love music that has good ideas. Moving on to Record Stop Charleston, they have all these garage rock compilations, brand new ones. This is Pebbles Volume 1, which is probably the second most famous garage rock compilation, followed only by Nuggets. Nuggets came out in 1973. Pebbles, I believe, came out in 1979, and it was made by BFD Records in Kookaburra, Australia, of course, famous home of BFD Records, not Germany or anything. And this GH here signifies that Get Hip is a record label and a record store out of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and they're really into the garage rock. I think the Cynics are heavily involved with that scene. But man, this has some really good ones from all over the place. A friend of mine gave me a burned CD of this when I was in high school, so I was pretty familiar with it. But man, I hadn't listened to some of this in a really long time. Action Woman by the Litter kicks it off. One of the greatest garage rock, fuzz rock guitar songs ever made. Going All the Way by the Squires is a really cool song. The Jujus, 125 by the Haunted, classic garage rock song. Kim Fowley has The Trip on here. Kim Fowley was just this really cool guy in LA. He ended up putting the Runaways together in the late 70s and a couple other things. Don't Be a Pinhead, Listen to Pebbles. And continuing with the garage rock craziness from Record Stop Charleston, man, I've been looking for this for a really long time. I was eyeing it on Discogs, but the prices on there are kind of high, and then you got to pay for shipping. This is Back from the Grave, Volume 8, which is really one of the best Back from the Graves. I mean, Volume 1 is obviously the one to start with, and I got my copy of Volume 1 2 years ago when I visited Charleston and got that one at Record Stop. And I swear all of these records were probably there the last time I was there, and nobody has picked them up in the meantime unless they've restocked them. One of my absolute favorite songs on here is called How to Win Friends by the Merlin Tree. They only made 145. They were from Austin, Texas. And their other song is on here too, which is like one of the heaviest, hardest rockin' ones. This is a nice gatefold. This one's actually a double LP, and they've got some really great liner notes. What they say about the Merlin Tree's other song, Look in Your Mirror, all you heavy metal dorks just pack it in already. If a crew of teens could knock out this kind of racket and do so in a frickin' polka music recording studio in 1967, then what in the heck perpetuates that crap passed off as heavy metal, other than maybe the male bonding that young mustachioid teens feel for their HM heroes such as Rob Halford or Freddie M. Anywho, here's Andrew Brown with the lowdown on this wailing sound. High school pals. Anyway, you get the gist of it. And then while we're on this garage rock trend, another awesome compilation, also from Crypt Records, who put out Back from the Grave. The Last of the Garage Punk Unknowns. Now this is just like good stuff. This is Volume 5. I picked up Volume 5 and 6 at Record Stop Charleston. I haven't listened to Volume 6 yet. How in the hell Tim Warren was able to find all these records, I don't know. These are literally stuff that nobody has ever heard, didn't even come close to making the charts or making any kind of dent in the music industry. This is totally underground, outsider stuff. 65 to 67, which is, one of the best times for this kind of music. Again, this is early punk rock. This stuff has attitude, it has fuzz, it's gnarly, and there's just some darn good songs here. And this actually wasn't released all that long ago. I believe, according to the internet, this came out in 2016 or so. And I also found this Rolling Stones mono original 1965 pressing of December's Children. It's in pretty darn good shape. It's definitely in better shape than the copy that I got for $3 at Papa Jazz many years ago.
Giant, orange, giant, orange, giant, orange, giant, orange, giant, orange.